Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I'm going to be sharing everything I bought from Polish Pickup in 2024. If you're familiar with my channel, you know that I do these annual kind of PPU haul videos. My hauls are always on the smaller side where I get like 1 to 3 polishes maybe, and it's just never enough to do a dedicated video for them like at the end of every month. I think it's a lot more fun to just review everything all in one video, so I will save more of my thoughts for the end. For now, let me just show you my haul. So starting in January, the theme was deadly plants, and I picked up 2 polishes. The first one here is Kathleen & Co.'s Rosary Pea, which is one of my absolute top favorites from Polish Pickup last year. It's this beautiful, warm, milk chocolate kind of brown crully base that is packed with this red shimmer. It is just so fiery and so cozy. I just love the vibes of this polish. I was instantly swooning when I saw these swatch photos and knew I had to have it, especially because it's a pretty unique color, but the formula was just as gorgeous too, opaque in 2 coats. The other shade that I ended up grabbing in January is Nailed It's Compulsion, which is this super gorgeous, icy lavender jelly crully kind of base with this holographic flaky particle. Obviously, I love this kind of finish and formula. It is just so glowy, so vibrant. The first coat might not look super nice because you don't really get the purpley base color. It does build up more if you do 2 or 3 coats. I just ended up stopping at 2 because I love that really ethereal vibe that it has. It is just so dainty and whimsical, giving me all of those fairy sort of vibes, especially with the color and how the shimmer shifts to purple in extreme light. The theme for February was wild animals, and I picked up 1 polish and then 1 product, but the polish here is LynBDesigns Tenta-Cool. It is a super glowy blue shimmer in this purple jelly kind of base. So as you can see on the first coat, it's definitely very sheer for the base color, but it is pretty even at least, and you obviously get a lot of that gorgeous blue shimmer coming through. The base coat starts to build up on the second coat, but it is still considerably sheer. Obviously most noticeable when you're not in like direct lighting. You can see more of that nail line, and while it does still build up on 3 coats even more and it intensifies the color, you still can definitely make out some nail lines, so this is definitely on the more sheer side for a shimmer. The color is nice. I feel like it's your typical blue shimmer in a purple base. So I also grabbed Glisten & Glow's Glitter Grabber top coat, and I thought the best way to show that is layered over a reflective textured glitter polish. So here is 1 coat of KBShimmer's After Midnight, fully dried down. You can see it looks like sandpaper. It is rough. So I'm going to be doing 1 coat of the Glitter Grabber over this, and you can see right away it just immediately gives it this super plump, glassy effect. But obviously I am going to show it dried down after a couple of minutes, and also next to a layer of regular top coat over this super textured polish, just so you can see the difference that a glitter grabber makes. It just makes it so much smoother. Obviously you still would want to do a layer of a quick dry top coat on top of this, but I think that would give you a smoother result than just 2 layers of regular top coat. Then in the month of March, the theme was Slumber Party, and I only picked up 1 polish, but my god, it is beautiful. This is Phoenix's Chibi. You may remember this shade when I did my Kryptonite polishes because it is just the iconic blue shimmer in a pink base combo. And yeah, no surprise, I am just so obsessed with this one, though I will say I kind of wish it translated a little bit better on the nail. Like obviously I do still think it is so fairy-like and beautiful, but in the bottle it almost has this like neon kind of glow to it, which I really love, but on the nail it doesn't really look neon at all. Like maybe there's a little bit of a brightness to the pink when you do 3 coats, but it doesn't really pop the way that it does in the bottle. So even though it sounds like I'm complaining about the shade, I still really love it. I mean, it's hard to be mad at a polish like this. It is just literally my weakness. The theme for April was video games, and this was one that I was initially really looking forward to, but kind of ended up being a little let down, but I still grabbed 2 polishes. The first one here is Ethereal's Careful I Bite. And maybe you might not remember this from my initial wish listing video, but I mainly picked this up because I wanted it to be not exactly a dupe, but just kind of like a replacement for Ethereal's Ether Dragon, which had come out in Polish Pickup the year before, I believe. It was just such a beautiful shade, one that I had seen swatches of and was like, oh, why did I skip it? And I thought this one gave a pretty similar vibe, like they're both super sheer, very glowy kind of shimmers. The main difference is that this one has a green color head on, while Ether Dragon was blue, and maybe this one has a little bit more of like a whitened base color, but it's like not super noticeable even on 3 coats, so it kind of didn't do it for me in the end. And the other polish that I grabbed was Lucky 13's I Suck, which is this beautiful, bright, hot pink kind of jelly base that is packed with these micro iridescent flakies. So I remember getting this pretty much on a whim because I only really liked one of the photos because it looked, so bright and neon and punchy, but then some of the other photos weren't as bright, so I feel like it was a bit of a gamble, but because I just like these kind of pinks, I figured it would kind of pay off, and it pretty much did. I love the color that it is. I think it generally had a decent formula. If anything, my least favorite thing is the brush. Also in the month of April, I picked up 2 polishes from Hella Handmade Creations. The first one was Bee's Lacquer Spread Your Wings, which is more of a peachy pink kind of jelly base that is again packed with this super intense aqua blue shimmer as well as silver reflective glitters. I think this one is just so pretty, obviously giving those ethereal vibes, also very angelic. I mean, I don't know if it's the name, but I feel like there's something about the super icy shimmer color against the more peachy neutral base that just reads angelic to me. And the second polish I grabbed from HHC that month was Phoenix's Oh the Misery, which I think I would describe as a periwinkle purple jelly base with a really strong purple glow. I really love this one. I mean, I think the base color is really pigmented, which is nice. It's not super sheer, so I think it builds up really beautifully in just 2 coats alone. And the shimmer in this is super gorgeous. I feel like it's a lot more finely milled than the shimmer in Chibi, for example, so I think it gives it this more even kind of glow, or a sheen in a way. It is just so mesmerizing to look at. Back to PPU though, the theme for May was It Came from Outer Space, and I grabbed 2 polishes and 1 product. The first shade here is Glisten and Glow's Omega Centauri, which is kind of this burgundy crelly base with this golden shimmer and a holographic sparkle. I feel like this color combination is just so quintessential for fall. I love a good burgundy, I love gold shimmer, so it sounded like it would check off all the boxes, but I kind of remember being a little on the fence because some of the photos made it look more red, which is what I would prefer, but in true burgundy fashion, this kind of leans a little bit more purple. And the other polish that I grabbed was Beau Revs We're All Made of Stars, which is this absolutely breathtaking magnetic that I think has a light gray kind of jelly base. It's just super sheer, but it is packed with this super bright cobalt blue shimmer, these blue iridescent flakies, and this icy whitened silver magnetic pigment. So I'm going to be showing this built up in 3 coats with the cat eye effect, but also in 2 coats unmagnetized and with the velvet effect. I think with the cat eye it looks best with 3 coats just because the base is so sheer, but even in certain angles you still are going to see straight through to your nail line. But under most lighting I feel like the shimmer is just so strong and overpowering, but I also really loved how this looks with the velvet effect because it just pulls all of that silvery white magnetic shimmer to the top. So in certain angles you see the flashes of silver with the cobalt blue underneath. It is so gorgeous. And lastly for June, I picked up the KBShimmer Sugar Scrub in the scent Bird of Paradise, which I obviously have used up, so I don't have any footage of it, but it was scented with jasmine, musk, strawberry, pomegranate, and vanilla, and I remember really liking this one. Like, it just had a beautiful mix of floral and fruity, super yummy. I definitely would be tempted to rebuy it if it came back for rewind, but it depends on the other scents available, but I definitely would recommend it at least. Then in June, the theme was cartoons, and I picked up 2 polishes and another sugar scrub. The first polish I have is Kathleen & Co.'s Gravity Falls, which is this really fun peachy orange creamsicle kind of jelly base with a super vibrant green shimmer. I just love how like fun and cute this shade is, and it definitely is super unique to my collection. I remember seeing the swatches and being like, oh my god, I have nothing like this in my collection. It's just so wild. So I had to have it. I think it is super gorgeous. The shimmer even has this subtle like pinky magenta kind of shift in indirect light. It is so pretty. And the other polish that I grabbed was Rogue Lacquer's Let's Get Dangerous, which is this super intense like indigo base with a pink magnetic shimmer and cobalt blue iridescent flakies. This was such an impulse kind of buy because I just saw the swatches and was so blown away. The formula, as you saw, was super pigmented, very full coverage on the first coat alone, which was very shocking to me. I kind of just wasn't expecting that. I don't think I would call it a one coater necessarily, but it's definitely close. But more than anything, I loved the color combination in this polish. It is just so stunning, so bold, very high contrast in my opinion. Like, my favorite thing obviously is the hot pink magnetic shimmer. Why don't I have more of those in my collection? And lastly, in June, I had picked up KBShimmer's Sugar Scrub in Strawberry Crunch, which had scent notes of raspberry, strawberry, cherry, orange, but also vanilla, buttery caramel, and bakery notes. So obviously, it's supposed to be reminiscent of your super sweet and sugary cereal. So while it's cute in theory, it fits the theme, I unfortunately did not like this scent at all. It just was one of those, like, as soon as I opened it and I was like using it, I would kind of make a face, which sounds so dramatic. I mean, you know, other people probably wouldn't think it's bad, but I think it's the buttery caramel in here that is just not for me. Then in June, I made another Hella Handmade Creations order. The first polish that I have here is Whatcha's Cancer, which was an immediate add to cart. It is a super dreamy baby pink jelly base, which definitely looks very similar to Phoenix's Chibi, but this one has a green shimmer instead of a cyan aqua. So it is a little bit different, and also even less noticeable. There's like these super tiny golden iridescent flakies in here. Definitely a very subtle thing. It doesn't really pop at all, but it is another different element. So, you know, they're not exact dupes in my book, but this was from their Zodiac series, I believe, and I'm a Cancer moon. This polish is just so perfect for me. And the last polish that I picked up was Phoenix's Hello Hello, which, as you can see, I don't have live swatch footage for because I cannot find my bottle. I immediately ended up putting it in my destash pile because I was so mad at myself for not realizing that it's basically a dupe for Mooncat's mermaid bait. It probably doesn't look so similar, like, you know, seeing the photos, but in real life, seeing them side by side, I was like, I can't tell a difference. So it was annoying to not realize that sooner. Obviously, the Phoenix polish is beautiful. It had a nice formula and all of that, but I just didn't want to dupe myself with this kind of shade. So like I mentioned in my nail polish awards video, my biggest haul of the year went to Rewind, which happens every July. The top polish on my list was Polish for Days Barbie on the Boardwalk, which I believe had released the prior year. I decided to skip it initially because I was like, oh, it's, you know, so similar to Mooncat's Merkitten or just any other kind of hot pink with a blue shimmer, but it ended up haunting my dreams. I just could not stop thinking about this polish, and it just made it worse every time I saw people share their swatches. It was just so beautiful. Big shout out to Alyssa for doing these comparisons to Mooncat's Merkitten and Cirque's Flamingo. These are definitely not dupes. The other polish that was at the very top of my list, I already mentioned, is Ethereal's Ether Dragon. You probably already know how excited I was to see this one come back because I would just swoon over the swatch photos of this one, especially in indirect light. It just had such a beautiful, gorgeous glow, but now that I have it, I was a little unimpressed, which I know might sound crazy, like it's still a beautiful polish, but first of all, doing the first coat just reminded me of how I felt when I had finally picked up Lumen's Glass Frog from a couple of years ago, where it was just so overhyped, but I was like, this is a topper. So I kind of had the same thoughts about this one. Another shade I was really excited to see come back was Dreamland Lacquer's Shake Your Shamrock. This one I think came out the year before, and it was just such an iconic shade. It is a super bright, neon shamrock green, crelly kind of base with a super glowy blue shimmer. It is just absolutely gorgeous, so eye-catching, so fun, especially for summer. I thought the formula was also really buttery smooth. Like, a lot of people had complained about it being super thick, which definitely wasn't my issue, but I could see this one maybe needing a third coat sometimes. Next, I picked up Sovereign Beauty's Teen Spirit, which is this super gorgeous camo green kind of crelly base with a golden shimmer and silver reflective glitters. I remember this one coming out in late 2023 and it catching my eye, but I was like, I'll kind of pass on it, whatever. And so seeing it come back for Rewind, I was like, you know what? Now I think is the time to get it. So while it wasn't on the front of my mind like some of the other shades were, I definitely was excited to have the chance to get this one because I love that green base color with the golden shimmer, and obviously I'm a fan of reflective glitter. It's just such a cool, like, grungy chic kind of combo. The only thing I don't love is the brush. And the last shade that I picked up was Vapid's The Seven Ravens, which I have to give a big thank you to the person who commented on my wishlist video telling me to check out this polish. It wasn't listed when I originally was doing my wishlist video, so they left a comment saying, hey, you need to check this out. You have been asking for a pastel magnetic and you probably would love this shade. And they were right. As soon as I saw the swatch photos, I was like, oh my god, I need this. It's a super dainty, almost lilac kind of jelly base with a really strong blue shimmer and this super beautiful lighter pink magnetic pigment. The color combo is just so up my alley. I am so in love with how the shimmers also shift, where the blue sort of shifts to purple, the pink shifts to peach. It is so beautiful. No surprise, it's absolutely magical with the velvet effect because it just pulls all of the pink shimmer to the top, showing the blue shimmer underneath. I am obsessed. Then in August, the theme was book covers, and I picked up two polishes. This first one is Atomic's A Day of Fallen Night, which, yes, is another pink base with a blue shimmer. I have a type, okay? Sue me. But no, this one is different, I swear, because it's a little bit more saturated in its pink base compared to others, which, like I had mentioned earlier, I already did a video comparing all of my pinks with a blue shimmer, so, go look at the collage, even though I know a lot of you guys are gonna say it's a dupe. To me, it's not a dupe, and that's all I care about. And the other polish that I picked up was Kathleen & Co.'s Follow Your Dreams, which was inspired by The Alchemist, which is one of my favorite books. Even aside from that, this polish is absolutely gorgeous. I shared it recently in my top 24 of 2024. It is this absolutely fiery golden shimmer in this sort of like hot pink magenta base. It is absolutely breathtaking, and I can only hope that this one is going to come back in Rewind this year. I know so many of you guys have commented saying that you need this polish. I unfortunately don't have a dupe for this one that's readily available, but if I find one, I will share it. Otherwise, I'll be crossing my fingers for you. September is always a popular month too because it's always centered around Halloween. Last year's was Vintage Halloween, but I ended up skipping all of the nail polish and only getting a KBShimmer Sugar Scrub. This was scented in Amber and Oakmoss, which had scent notes of amber and oak moss, but also hints of cashmere, citrus, and white florals. I personally didn't really smell a lot of the floral or like citrus kind of scents in here. I would say it's definitely more heavy on like the amber, the cashmere, just like that kind of musky scent, but it still was really yummy. Like I would be tempted to repurchase this, but again, it wouldn't be super high on my list. It just really depends on what else is coming back. I was kind of hoping to treat myself a little bit for my birthday month, but I didn't really love a lot of the polishes. The theme, by the way, for October was natural phenomenons, and I only grabbed 2 shades. The first one here is Cupcake's Twister, which is this really pretty, dusty, blue-gray kind of base color with this sort of orangey shimmer that shifts to yellow and green in extreme lighting, and it's also packed with a sort of holographic flaky particle. It is an absolutely beautiful polish, super gorgeous formula as well. I love the brush on this one. So definitely really great overall, but once I got this in the mail, I was like, oh, this kind of reminds me of another polish that I have. And I do remember thinking during wishlisting that there was like one photo where this leaned a little bit more green in its base, and I was like hoping that that's how the polish would look, but it definitely is more blue. And the other polish that I grabbed was Painted Polish's Live Laugh Lava, and I absolutely adored this one. It has one of those super beautiful dark red bases with like a brownish undertone, and it's packed with these golden metallic microflakes. I just know this is the type of shade I love for fall, and I kind of also had the thought in the back of my mind, I don't remember if I had mentioned it during wishlisting, that I was hoping this is what I wanted Omega Centauri to be that I had picked up earlier, because I didn't love that it was on the purple side, but I really love that this is on the more red side. And the last shade that I picked up last year was Feed Me by Danny Vianna. This was for November's nostalgic toys theme, and it was inspired by Tamagotchis, which I never had growing up, but I always wanted. It's a super cute milky white crelly base with a blue sort of cobalt shimmer and these multicolored matte glitters that are just so cute. Like, I love the color scheme in here. There's a lot of varying sizes to the glitters as well. I even had mentioned I didn't love that there's like some super large hex glitters, but thankfully I didn't get any while I was painting, so I just loved how this looked. And lastly, in December, I only picked up another KBShimmer Sugar Scrub. This time is scented in Vanilla Birch. This has scent notes of sandalwood, birchwood, vanilla, quince, pear, and mandarin. I definitely would say that the first couple of scent notes are the strongest, so I get like the sandalwood, the vanilla. I don't really get that much of the fruity kind of citrusy notes, but honestly, I'm not too upset about that because I feel like this is just such a cozy scent. I was a little worried with like the vanilla because I feel like vanilla can go either way with being like too overpowering, but I feel like this was the perfect amount, and I wanted to quickly show you like the texture of it, where even though I'm going in completely dry, you can see just how like emollient it kind of gets. So it's very moisturizing. I cannot recommend these sugar scrubs enough. I definitely love this scent and would consider repurchasing. And finally, here is the collage of everything that I picked up last year, including the polishes from HHC. I really love this lineup. I mean, no surprise, we have like a very particular theme here with the polishes that I just keep going back to. I'm not at all surprised that there are so many shimmers in my haul. It's just my favorite finish. And a lot of those super dainty pink shimmers that I shared before are actually in the top row, but I feel like looking at them all next to each other together, they all just look so green because of how intense the shimmer is. I personally really love that middle row. It is just the perfect spectrum of shades for me, but obviously I love a lot of what I picked up, including some of the darker ones. So that wraps up my 2024 polish pickup haul. As always, I would love to know what you think of everything that I picked up, especially if you picked up some of the same shades. Let me know what you think of them. Or of course, share what other standout shades you grabbed from the year, because obviously there are so many beautiful shades from polish pickup. Overall, I definitely am happy with what I picked up, and especially the fact that I grabbed less than I did the year before, because I believe in 2023 I got closer to 30 polishes, and this year it's closer to 20. Like I've mentioned so many times on my channel, I just don't have the room to expand my storage. I'm already on 4 Helmers, which to me definitely sounds like a lot. So I really have to be picky and super mindful with what I'm actually adding to my collection, because if you're familiar with my channel, you know that I already do a lot of collection reviews from what I get in PR. So I really run out of space so fast just from PR alone. So I definitely am happy that I made some progress, and I'm planning on keeping that trend up this year too, where I even just shared my recent January wish listing kind of video, and I talked about how I want to be even more strict with what I'm going to be picking up. And somebody suggested actually kind of changing the name of my series from my wish listing to my window shopping, so that way it'll kind of take off some of the pressure of like wish listing and, you know, feeling like I need to get something, because window shopping is definitely a lot more chill for me. Like I've done a couple of window shopping videos before where I just talk about polishes that, you know, have caught my eye, that are super beautiful, definitely worth talking about at least, but you know, I just don't have room for them in my collection. So I really do like the idea of just like changing the name from wish listing to window shopping, so I don't feel super pressured to, you know, get anything, and it's just like, oh, you know, I'm just looking at what's available and admiring how pretty it is. So yeah, overall, I am definitely happy with what I've picked up in 2024. There's only like a few shades that I think were more of those impulse buys, and for the most part, I don't regret those, but I do have a couple of regrets, as I hinted throughout the video. So I definitely am due for another polishes I regret buying video. If you remember that one from last year, I had talked about a couple of PPU and non-PPU shades that I had bought but ended up regretting. And I think in that video, I ended up destashing around 5 of the shades from PPU. This year, I think there's about 4 that I will be talking about. So that should be coming out later this weekend, so stay tuned for that. And another thing that I really liked about my haul is that I was actually able to swatch more of it, like as I got them in, because as I mentioned before, my hauls are always like on the very small side, and I always thought it was silly to do like a dedicated video for, you know, just 1 or 2 polishes. But then I was like, duh, I can still swatch them and share them in shorts. So you may have seen a couple of my shorts throughout the year where I swatched like my polish pickup haul. So I really enjoyed doing that, and I found that was a great way to actually like wear the polishes, because I know last year when I did my annual haul video, there were a few shades, I mean even this year too, there was a few shades that I just like hadn't tried yet. And my collection is way too big to be like buying stuff and not wearing it. So I am definitely going to be prioritizing doing my little swatches in my shorts, at least for like a first impression type of thing. But I definitely will still be doing these like end or beginning of the year type of annual reviews of everything that I bought. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'd love to know your thoughts on your PPU hauls from last year, or, you know, what your plans are for this year. I know a lot of people have already talked about either doing no buys altogether, waiting until Rewind, or just looking forward to my wish listing / window shopping series, since I'm so picky and I can help you guys find more accessible alternatives to these limited edition shades. But let me know any and all thoughts you have down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.